Hi, I'm Gary White for Central Kentucky Television. I'm here with Mary Ray, who is with Herbal Harmony in Bardstown. And we're going to talk about the Shades of Nature Herb Festival, which is coming up on Saturday, April the 27th at the Wickland Plantation Home in Bardstown. It's the third year for this festival, correct?
It is the third year. And anyway, we're growing a festival for earth-based people.
Now tell us a little bit about what people can expect to find at the Shades of Nature Herbal Festival.
Well, we have a lot of growers, people that grow sustainable meat, people like Future Farmers of America that's high school. Mm-hmm. They're going to be bringing their plants, so if you haven't planted your flower beds yet, they've got a lot of plants that they grow in the spring. We have heirloom plants coming out of Berea. We have vendors that are different craft vendors. We've got local potters, local fairy things, making fairy art and fairy houses, and she'll be also doing a fairy herb garden presentation. We have a lot of music this year. So whatever your music choice is, we've got a dulcimer group at 10. We've got guitar and accordion group that they're nationally known. They're coming at 11.
Okay.
We've got a culinary demo with the culinary herb vendor right beside him that he used to own restaurants, and he talks about herbs of the Bible and how we incorporate that into the food that serves us. It's really a great demonstration with Stephen Lee.
Wow, that's pretty interesting.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm real excited about it.
Now, it's going to be from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., right?
Yes.
With
music from 10 o'clock to 3 o'clock. So please bring a lawn chair. The Amish will be there with their glider rocker, so there will be some comfort in the chairs provided, but if you're late, you might need your own chair.
Wow, that's great. Now, how did this all get started?
Well, I am an herbalist, like a solar flight person in this area of plant remedies, and so I wanted people to start to connect to the land, and I also connect with a lot of different people doing different things with sustainable agriculture. So I wanted to bring it to the forefront because we're at a crossroads where we can continue doing what we've done for the last 50 years, or we can step out and choose to do differently. So the heirloom plants, heirloom means that it's not genetically modified. It has to date back and have a registered history before 1940. So when you grow an heirloom plant, it'll provide a seed that you can replant. If it's genetically modified food, it does not. So it's to introduce people that are looking for things. And speaking of heirloom seeds, I have a lot of gifts that are catalogs from different companies for the beekeepers, for the people looking for heirloom seeds, for the people looking for organic, sustainable products, for people looking for a new trade. We've got catalogs from the John Campbell Folk School in North Carolina. All of this is free. The music's free. You might have to pay for food. We've got kettle corn and fresh squeezed lemonade coming. We've got gourmet cafe, and we've got another food vendor that's going to be selling some veggie things with herbal teas. So we've got a little bit for everybody just to have a very nice day.
So you also are going to have some cooking demonstrations, right?
Yes.
Now, what's your favorite herb to cook with?
Garlic.
Okay.
Garlic, and I use a lot of oregano. I use a lot of sage or basil pesto, cilantro pesto, and a little Hispanic dish. But I have a very versatile array of herbs because I like cooking cinnamon and cumin together, which gives you more of an Indian flair. So.
What do you put that on? Is it like a sauce?
No, well, it is a sauce for lamb. The lamb recipe has rosemary and garlic and lemon juice, and it's. And then for the sauce, the tomato sauce has a little cinnamon in it and a little mint. And so at Wickland, I will also be leading the plant walk at 10 o'clock and at 3 o'clock, and it's to identify plants that I would use for a remedy and why I would use it. But Kentucky mint is growing on Wickland flower beds, as well as several other herbs like comfrey and yarrow and feverfew, echinacea. I've planted a lot of plants out there so that people can start identifying plants.
So these herbs then are not just for cooking. You're also saying that they're medicinal as well,
Medicinal,
right? Okay.
right.
What would be an example of one herb that you'd find locally and what you would use that for?
Well, echinacea is one that's very easy to grow, and it's the purple cone flower. And I actually like to harvest it wild, but people need to know what to look for, so I plant it in flower beds. But the root of that plant is used as a remedy in the winter for colds and flu. But I've also used the root of this plant for an abscessed tooth or for an inflammation that you can't see what is inflamed. Like one time I had a swollen ankle and it was inflamed red, but I knew that I hadn't sprained my ankle. And I didn't know what else to do, so I just rubbed the echinacea tincture on the outside of that ankle, and the next morning all inflammation is gone. So it's a powerful plant. A little bit goes a long way, and if you just grow a few medicinal plants, then you can have your own apothecary at your house, which is what the old timers used to do.
Right. So you're saying that the root of that plant is what you use.
Yes.
And if they attend this festival, they learn how to harvest that root and what to do with it, because obviously you have to make something to it, right?
Right, right. Well, I make a lot of oils and I make a lot of tinctures, and I teach a class once a month so they can be introduced to how I connect to plants, and if that speaks to them, they may be interested in a class later. You really don't have time to teach them the whole process in a walk.
Right.
So.
But it can help you identify what's out there.
Right.
Right.
Right. Like violets. I use violets a lot. Violets are anti-tumor plants. They in the 12th century, the violet plant was the only plant or the main plant used by Saint Hildegard. In the 12th century, she was a monastic nun. So she was allowed to practice herbal medicine during the Renaissance. And she healed cancer with violets. So depending on the type of cancer, it's a possibility you could eat it. I put it in soup. I make an oil with it. I make tinctures with it. And it's just one that I have on hand for fighting off fungus and viruses.
So what are some of the ones that people are most surprised to learn about when they see something out there?
All of them. There's one plant that I use a lot, and it's plantain. And plantain, there's 2 or 3 types here in Kentucky, and you'll most often see it where you park your car, because the exhaust is where this plant is going to show up. And plants show up exactly where they're needed, and they tell you something. And the plantain detoxifies heavy metals and lead. And they also draw out poisons and toxins. So if you had a spider bite, a puncture wound, a dog bite, a cat scratch, and the wound got infected, this particular plant is going to draw out the infection. A bee sting, it'll stop an anaphylactic reaction. If you only knew this plant and you knew to chew it up, spit it on, when somebody had a bee sting, you would watch that inflammation go to that site and stop. But I use it for tick bites, and they have that at Wickland, so we'll talk about that. But I make that in salve and tincture. But you also can put that in soup to start drawing out the toxins that are within your colon.
So how did you learn about all these different herbs?
Well, my first introduction was when I was in massage school years ago. I am a massage therapist. And 15, 16 years ago when we first started, we all got that carpal tunnel from doing like this. And carpal tunnel is actually a neck issue, but it'll show up on the wrist. So our master teacher down there that was a master herbalist, we all used dried herbs. I didn't know what these plants looked like. I had a name. I had the amount that you would use, and you would make a poultice and wrap your wrist. And we all got over carpal tunnel. When I moved to Germany, shortly after that, a couple of years after that, living in Germany, we would hike the Alps, and the people would say, we use this plant, and this plant, and this plant, and this plant. When I came back to Kentucky, we matched Germany pretty much for everything but Edelweiss, and that's high altitude. But so I started exploring the plants here. Had a friend that got me out in the woods a lot. I took a lot of photographs. But I also have been trained with a medicine man from Maine. A couple of years we went to classes there with him, and then I've done a lot of conferences in New Mexico and North Carolina and Minnesota, and there's a lot of herbalism going across the United States right now. But I found my teacher, and she is the Appalachian folk healer in Arab, Alabama. And I trained with her for 3 years. I drove to Alabama and would spend a whole weekend just immersed in plants, experiencing, preparing, hunting, learning to identify plants that I didn't know in our woods here. And the whole Appalachian Range is a medicinal garden, is how I can describe it. So,
wow. So again, if you want to learn more, it's the Shades of Nature Herb Festival. It's going to be on Saturday, April the 27th, starting at 9 a.m., going to 5 p.m. at Wickland Plantation Home here in Bardstown. And your tagline, learning ways to heal the earth and the people in one motion.
the earth is the altar. We've got to heal the earth.
Then it can help us all out too.
And it helps everyone.
And again, they'll be at 550 Bloomfield Road in Bardstown at Wickland. It's a free event.
It's a free event, free music, free entertainment, free cooking demo. You can't ask for a better day, and it's going to be a beautiful day on Saturday.
Good. So everybody's welcome to come on out. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Again, I've been talking with Mary Ray, who is the organizer for the Shades of Nature Herb Festival this Saturday, April the 27th at Wickland in Bardstown. It's Gary White for Central Kentucky Television.